Vada Marga, the path of truthful inquiry. One of the first rules of genuine spirituality is this: question everything and interpret everything logically and rationally. Rational inquiry does not mean atheism. In the ancient Indian tradition, reason or yukti is not the enemy of faith, shraddha. It is its purifier. Blind belief is discouraged just as strongly as blind disbelief. The most sacred spiritual texts in Hinduism, the Upaniṣads, themselves are born out of questioning. The Kena Upanishad opens not with a declaration but with a challenge. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. By whose will does the mind think? The spiritual knowledge begins not with acceptance but with intelligent inquiry. Step by step, such inquiries lead us away from materialistic view of the world and naturally lead us to the spiritual path. The Mundaka Upanishad states, Parikshaya lokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayat. Having examined the worlds attained by action, the wise becomes dispassionate. No matter our age or experience, learning is inevitable. And learning is tested through discussion and debate. Recognizing this, rishis, the ancient Indian thinkers, didn't reject argumentation, but rather they classified it and refined it. Texts such as Nyaya Sutras and classical Shastrarthas identify three levels of argumentation. From the least helpful and moving towards the ideal, they are Vedānta, Jalpa, and Vada, respectively. Let us explore them one by one. Vedānta, destructive criticism. Vedānta is argument without responsibility. This is the shallowest type of argument, refuting others without presenting or defending one's own position. This mindset appears clever, but it produces no insight. Most often, this arises because of resentment with the person or one's own insecurity and not the subject matter. Take for example a social media comment thread where most of the times argument is this way and popularly also known as trolling. Person A says meditation helps improve focus, for which person B replies, no, that's nonsense, there's no proof. For which person A questions back, can you suggest a better way that helps focus the mind? For which person B replies, maybe, but why should I? You stick to your ancient nonsense, lol. Clearly, person B is not interested in truth or alternatives, but only in tearing down. Another example could be in a workplace where employee sabotages or questions the authority of another to maintain their own status quo. These people start their response almost always with, I disagree, irrespective of what the actual suggestion is. Such shallow criticisms does not lead to truth, it leads only to exhaustion. In our spiritual journey also, we come across people mocking scriptures without studying them, ridiculing practices without proposing a meaningful path. Arguing with such people only increases noise, not wisdom. Jalpa is debate driven by ego. Here, the goal is not understanding but victory, defending one's own position at all costs. The Mundaka Upanishad describes this mentality as remaining stuck in superficial cleverness. Avidyayam antare vartamanaha swayandhiraha panditam manyamanaha. Living in ignorance, yet considering themselves wise, they wander in circles. This form of argument is so common that most of us hardly notice when we ourselves engage in it. In fact, it is often accepted as the default way of arguing. Consider something as familiar as a sports team we support or a political party we favor. Our attachment to them is rarely based on an objective assessment of merit alone. More often, it arises from personal identification, emotional investment, and subtle egoic bias. In much the same way, our sense of patriotism and our attachment to language, birthplace, and cultural or social identity are often shaped more by conditioning than by conscious evaluation. To see this clearly, imagine this simple scenario. You support a particular country to win a sports trophy because you were born there. Had you been born in a different country, your loyalty would most likely have shifted accordingly. This reveals that our wish for a particular outcome is driven less by who truly deserves to win and more by our own conditioned affiliations. This tendency shows up clearly in spirituality too. We pick a religious side or maybe even atheistic side and then spend our energy defending it without much interest in hearing anyone else out. In such situations, the goal is not to understand reality as it is, but to defend our side. This is the essence of Jalpa, argument motivated by the desire to win. When the urge to win takes precedence, learning comes to a standstill. Vada, dialogue in search of truth. Vada is the highest and most sacred form of discussion. Here, both sides are committed to truth, even if it means letting go of their own conclusions. This is the spirit of the Upanishadic teacher-student dialogue. The Kathopanishad exemplifies this beautifully in the conversation between Nachiketa and the god of death Yama. Persistent questioning, honest answers, and mutual reverence. It is in this same way Arjuna questions Krishna, which has given us the most glorified Bhagavad Gita. For instance, it is perfectly fine for a student to question a guru with humility and persistence to express if something doesn't make sense to them. Together, they refine the understanding through dialogue. It is this form of dialogue that Lord Krishna glorifies in the Bhagavad Gita. Adhyatma vidya vidyanam vadaha pravadatam aham. Among all forms of knowledge, I am self-knowledge, and among disputants, I am Vada. A guiding principle from the Upanishads. Earlier in this episode, we saw a quote from Mundaka Upanishad mentioning the one who, after determining the emptiness in the material world, becomes dispassionate. The second stanza of this verse offers a foundational instruction for such sincere seeker. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumevabhi gached. To know that truth, one must approach a guru. This injunction aligns with our earlier topic on the guru. Approaching a guru does not imply the suspension of reason or blind acceptance. Rather, it is the disciplined channeling of reason toward truth. The guru's role is precisely this: to ensure that inquiry remains vada, truth-oriented dialogue, and does not descend into jalpa, ego-driven debate, or vitanda, destructive criticism. In this sense, the guru is not an obstacle to rational inquiry, but its highest safeguard. Here are some best practices for spiritual learning. If spirituality is about realization, rather than reinforcing beliefs, then question deeply but humbly. Reason rigorously but without arrogance. Debate honestly but without ego. Let truth, not victory, be the goal. The moment discussion becomes about winning, learning stops. The moment it becomes about truth, wisdom unfolds. This is the Upanishadic way of learning. Fearless questioning, disciplined reasoning, and truthful inquiry. Om Tat Sat.